Thank you very much for coming. Actually, we are three. We have a surprise at the very end, but not to spoil it. Thank you very much for coming. I'm Ben Pączek, CEO of Nevomo, and we're gonna speak today on how the future of railways will look like. And we have the great pleasure to have with us Fabien Letourneau from SNCF to announce our great news of partnership, and then a surprise announcement with Jacques at the very, very end. So we have all had to came here for this event, and I think it might have been an experience for some of us. And we all know that especially road and aviation transport have a lot of problems and challenges, congestion, delays, and railways are the solution for it. But railways need tools, need new technology for this to become possible, and we are here to achieve it together with our partners. So the four main problems that we have identified are related to capacity, technology complexity, high costs of operations and construction of new infrastructure, and then emerging competition from other modes of transportation. Capacity comes mostly from this very physical event of interaction of a steel wheel over a steel rail, which is great for cruising speeds, but it's really not so great if we want to accelerate or brake because of the low friction interface. That generates a lot of slippery effects, and then the braking distance is much bigger than for road transportation. Secondly, the industry has done a lot to get improvements on this area with a lot of great systems being installed, but until we tackle this physical event, this physical interface, we will not be able to reach full system performance. That's why it's so costly and time-consuming to add capacity on railways, because always we have to build new lines. And now automotive and aviation are becoming greener every year, which so far has been the main competitive advantage of railways. That's why, for example, in Europe, the Green Deal targets for 2030 are at risk, and it's 78 million ton CO2 emissions per year, which are at risk if we don't find a technical solution to help railways to become much more competitive. That's why we are proposing to apply linear motor propulsion, magnetic levitation, and AI-based predictive maintenance on conventional railway lines to make them much more efficient, to increase capacity, flexibility of operations, and save a lot of CO2 emissions. The path towards this will go through implementation of first linear motor propulsion to existing lines and existing rolling stock. So this is something that can be done really relatively quickly, can be applied for freight. We can run single wagons fully independently in an automated way without any locomotives, and this adds a lot of flexibility and capacity. And secondly, we will go to full MagRail system with levitation on existing lines with new rolling stock, which is lighter and will be able to achieve very high speeds of up to 550 kilometers per hour on high-speed lines. There's a number of use cases. Fabien will tell a few words about the ones that SNCF has decided to analyze. And it's all about making railways much more efficient and able to compete with other modes of transportation to carry more freight and more passengers. Fabien? Before, maybe just one personal comment, because it's a very special moment for me. When I was receiving my degree from ESCP Business School 15 years ago, I couldn't really imagine that one day I'm going to come back to announce a partnership with SNCF, global leader in high-speed rail. and the strategic partnership and investment from Jacques Berebi, one of the most successful French entrepreneurs, founder of Teleperformance, who I have the real pleasure to also call friend.
Thank you, Przemek. So first, I would like to say that SNCF is now preparing the new revolution of railways after the electrification in the early 20s, after the high speed in the 80s. We are now working on the autonomous trains, and beyond that, we are also we also have a close look at all the breakthrough technologies that can significantly improve the performance of the railway system. And this is particularly urgent because the world is facing a huge environmental challenges. And in that context, modal shift to rail is essential to decarbonize all the mobilities. But to do so, the railways have to make big effort, big progress, so as to be able to absorb the traffic increase at acceptable costs. And we really think that new solutions, such as the autonomous train, may help to move forward all the railway sector. What will be the expected benefits of these new solutions, such as the autonomous trains? At first, it's an increased capacity, as Przemek said before, by optimizing the individual train speeds, by reducing the distance between trains, and finally, by increasing the line throughputs. The second benefits would be to enhance regularity, to be more, for the system to be more responsive and to be more resilient to any operating contingencies, to have an even more environmentally friendly rail by driving down the energy consumption, of course, this is at stake, and in the end, by combining all these factors and through a more flexible operation, then to have a higher competitiveness. All these huge benefits are aligned with Nevomo's goals for their MagRail system, for their MagRail solution. For instance, capacity via automation, electrification, more power, and dynamics, by more flexibility, by freedom of operation, by full interoperability, and of course, what is very important is that these solutions are able to be implemented in existing lines so as to upgrade these lines for more performance. Nevomo and SNCF then decided to join their effort to analyze and to investigate the usefulness of MagRail solution on 3 different use cases, and we just signed a collaboration agreement to go to these feasibility studies. The first use case is about a booster for freight trains. So in very specific portion of lines where we need more power, so especially in inclined routes. The second use case concerns a booster of capacity for passenger trains on congested line by accelerating, decelerating passenger trains faster. And the last one concerns the MagRail as an alternative propulsion system for light rail vehicles on rural lines. So you can see that there are lots of use cases that can be applied for this MagRail system. And we are very happy to start this cooperation with Nevomo. and we'll see if in the end we will achieve an increase in this performance. That will be our aim.
Thank you very much, Fabien. And Jacques, thank you very much for being with us today. And the final words are yours.
My pleasure. Thank you very much. First of all, I want to tell you that I'm going to make my speech in French in consideration of the country where we are right now. But I want before to say two things. First, I thank you very much to be here with us, to participate to this start of a new era in transportation, first. And second, all what I'm going to say, you will receive it printed in the file you will receive at the end of this presentation. Avant tout, chers amis, je voulais vous remercier pour votre présence à cette grande occasion. Mon histoire est par chance celle de success story à répétition, Eurocom dans la publicité d'abord, le groupe Téléperformance que j'ai fondé et aujourd'hui Nevomo. Mon mot d'ordre dans ma vie a toujours été de ne jamais jouer à titre personnel, mais en équipe, avec un leitmotiv, unir pour réussir. Tel fut le cas avec Claude 12 dans le groupe Eurocom, avec Daniel Julien pour Téléperformance et aujourd'hui avec Ben Pacek dans Nevomo. Chaque fois, ces réussites furent basées sur l'innovation et la globalisation. Pourquoi Nevomo ? Simplement en raison de ma croyance dans les hommes et dans leurs capacités créatives. C'est le cas à mes yeux de Ben Pacek, qui est de la race des bâtisseurs et avec qui nous avons conjugué les efforts des équipes Nevomo et Bercom, qui est mon groupe, associés à ceux du groupe Avisa Partner pour la communication institutionnelle. Tout ceci afin d'aboutir au présent événement qui en est le couronnement, mais le début d'une belle histoire en même temps. Nevomo embarque intelligence et innovation dans le domaine du transport ferroviaire. Une intelligence capable de s'adapter aux différentes infrastructures, focalisant sur la puissance, l'utilisation intelligente de l'énergie, avec pour objectif la grande vitesse qui facilite les connexions entre les hommes. Pas évident. Je pensais avoir un petit bureau, mais je ne l'ai pas. Voilà. Nevomo est un projet orienté vers tous les secteurs du rail, que ce soit les trains, les métros, l'hyperloop ou encore le fret automatisé. Ma fierté, après avoir fait de Téléperformance en partant de France, un opérateur mondial, coté au CAC 40, d'oubliant tous ses compétiteurs à travers le monde, c'est de voir que le démarrage opérationnel de Nevomo se fait dans mon pays. Ceci grâce au partenariat que nous initions aujourd'hui devant vous avec la SNCF. SNCF qui perpétue ainsi sa volonté d'être un précurseur et un acteur majeur en matière d'innovation et de progrès dans le domaine des transports. Cette coopération entre la Pologne et la France est la démonstration flagrante que l'Europe existe. Et croyez-en ma longue expérience, lorsqu'on réunit le génie des hommes et l'ambition des nations, il est permis d'en attendre des réalisations hors du commun, non seulement dans nos frontières européennes, mais aussi à travers le monde. Que cette alliance Pologne-France, sous l'égide de la SNCF, démontre au monde entier son intelligence et sa force. Je vous remercie de m'avoir écouté.
Merci beaucoup, Jacques. Merci, Fabien. Thank you very much for coming. And we are here to answer any questions after the session. Thank you very much.